Thanks for joining me. It's time to discuss your dreams and visions about how you're going to change the world as a startup entrepreneur. I'm Scott Fox, and I'm here to help you figure out how you can get those ideas from out between your ears out into the world, productize the innovations that you have in mind, and build companies that can serve the world and advance the human condition forward. I run the Startup Council. StartupCouncil.org is a resource for you and founders all over the world. We're a platform that connects community resources so that founders can find investors and service providers and community organizations to support their growth. StartupCouncil.org is a new website. We're just getting started, so if you haven't checked it out yet, please go ahead and visit over there. And then for the next few minutes, we're going to be here live talking about questions from the audience that have been sent in to me as the CEO of StartupCouncil.org. Who am I? Why do I have the microphone? Well, I'm Scott Fox. I'm a serial internet entrepreneur. I've been doing this for a long time, and I've raised money and lost money and built companies and sold companies and all the things in between to help create the internet revolution. I was lucky enough to be in the right place at the right time as a graduate student at Stanford University many years ago, and a lot of us discovered the internet and commercialized it, and I've been trying to help other people do that ever since. You might have read some of my books. I've written 3 books so far with a 4th and 5th on the way. But the books are all about how to build businesses that draw on your own passions and expertise to solve problems and make some money along the way. There are many languages around the world. You can check them out on Amazon.com in English, of course, but also in Polish and Russian and Vietnamese and Turkish and Vietnamese. I said Vietnamese. Several others too. So if that sounds useful to you, check it out. But more importantly, I have a new book coming next year that's all about how to raise money, which I know is the most important topic and most popular questions that we get here during startup office hours. So if that sounds like you, go ahead and join us. I'm going to turn on the chat room here and see if there's anybody else here to join us. I hope that you all are out there and that you can hear me. If you are and you can hear me, please chime in and let me know where you're from and what you'd like to talk about tonight. We're going to have a nice interactive session here to help everybody learn more about what they're building and how to build it better and faster and more cost effectively. So I'm not in my usual office tonight. Those of you who are regular viewers probably recognize that this background is a little dull. I'm actually in a hotel. I'm in Ann Arbor, Michigan, the home of the famous University of Michigan. And it's midnight here, so I'm actually staying up late just for you guys. So if anybody has questions, go ahead and put them in the chat room. Or those of you who RSVP'd, you can come back and post on in backstage, and we'll bring on camera as well. So great, Dustin, thanks for letting me know you can hear me from Costa Mesa. That's out near where I usually live. Hey, Cynthia, how are you? Nice to see you. And Belima from Nigeria. Hey, Belima, or is Belima welcome? I'm not sure what that means. It looks like your name's Achigo. So welcome to you. I don't know that we've had anybody from Nigeria before, so I'm happy to have you here. And Babak, yes, this is live. So it looks like you're on LinkedIn, which is great to hear. We often have trouble connecting on LinkedIn, so I'm glad to hear that's working. And Cynthia's there too, and Chico's on YouTube, and Dustin over on Facebook. Great, so we have all of our platforms. It sounds like it's working. That's awesome. So if you guys want to kick in some questions or topics, you can do that, and we can discuss whatever you'd like. We had a few people RSVP to come on camera, but none of them have showed up yet. So let's put that link up in case any of you want to come backstage and come on camera with me. Let's see, where is that? Cynthia, the primary platform is Restream. I'm doing this across multiple platforms at once. So let's do this. I'm trying to find the right link. Let's see. Well, you can like and subscribe if that sounds useful. That's not what I was looking for either. My recommendations. Come on here. I have lots of. All right, here it must be over here. There we go. Okay, so if you'd like to come and join us, it's over. Here we go. Okay, so here's the link for backstage. That's going to be tough to click on. I don't know if you can click on that from YouTube, and a kind of a drag to type. Usually, this works also. I try that. That may or may not work. Okay, so let me do my disclaimers here, and then we'll get into We'll get into some of the content here. So this is not this is not legal or professional advice. Okay, every situation is different, and I do have a lot of credentials and a lot of experience, but my expertise is from my own experience, not yours, right? So if you're going to get serious about this stuff, you need to engage your own legal counsel, your own tax counsel, accountants, experts at all the stuff that is important, because the more money is on the table, the riskier it gets, right? So I'm happy to help as much as I can, but this is not qualified legal or financial advice. You should consult your own professional advisors. Please, I'm just some guy you met on the internet. We're also recording this. It will be broadcast out on YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, as you already know. So don't say anything stupid or anything that's too confidential. And we'll be sharing this with other people, and it'll be archived. So, of course, we do have, we're happy to have you there, but it's not something that we're not going to edit this, is I guess what I'm saying. Cynthia, I can't do a Billy link. I'm busy broadcasting. Okay, so like I said, I'm Scott Fox, and we're here to help. And Rita, great to have you here with us. Where are you from? On the fundraising thing. Yeah, timing, yes. When is the right time? Okay, well, right time is a good one. And it looks like Ken just checked in from Brisbane. So Ken, hang on a minute, and we'll bring you on camera. The right time to start raising. Yep. So here is Rita's question. Come on. Yep. And Sam as well. Good. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you. Hang on. Let's answer Rita's question here, because this is an important one. I got to go over here. There we go. Okay, you're hearing some rattling, Cynthia? Thank you for letting me know. I don't know. We'll try to, it's probably this headset I'm wearing. But at least you can hear me at all, which is great, because the hotel room does not have great Wi-Fi. So I've been running around all day trying to make sure you could hear me at all. All right, so let's talk Rita. So Rita, while I'm talking, why don't you tell us where you're from and tell us a little more about your venture. But in general, the right time to start raising is yesterday. Relationships are what drive fundraising. So even if you don't think you're going to be raising tomorrow, you need to start yesterday, because investors like me, we're looking for people that we know and trust. It's just like sales, right? So you want to be out there building relationships, in fact, long before you want the money. So if you think you're going to be raising money anytime in the near future or ever, the sooner you start going to events and connecting with investors face to face and letting them get to know you, and hopefully demonstrating some sort of progress to them over time, that's how you raise money. So it's nice to think that you could just send out a bunch of emails to the inboxes of various venture capital firms, and they would reply with interest and then money. It's really not that easy. It's a relationship-based business, and it's something that you need to start on sooner than later. The trouble with this, of course, is that if you're already desperate for money, that's going to be tough. So get started even faster. Or if you're a person who doesn't necessarily like to do outreach, this is maybe not your comfort zone. But this is one of the facts, and I try to tell the truth. That's why I do these at these office hours. If you're going to do this, you've got to be ready to be in sales. Everybody's in sales in a startup, and especially the founder. You're going to be convincing people of everything. You're going to have to convince team members. You're going to have to convince investors. And of course, you're going to have to convince clients, right? So all of these are things that you need to get good at. And the sooner you start, the better. The other reason to start sooner, of course, is that you will get better. You can learn from the reactions that you get from various potential investors and see what they want from you, right? You should also be talking to clients early on, earlier than a lot of founders want to do. This because then they can give you feedback on your product, and you'll have a chance to pivot, right? Iterating in response to customers is what can give you the kind of traction and validation that investors are looking for. So that's the other way to get investors. Of course, you don't need to necessarily even pitch investors if you can build a fantastic business that's generating a lot of revenue. Believe me, we'll come find you. But of course, it's easier if you do some of both. Get some customer traction going, and then start building relationships with the investors as well. So I hope that's helpful, kind of a basic intro question, but hopefully that sets the stage for everybody. This is the kind of things that we're going to talk about tonight. Well, tonight for me, and a lot of you I know are in Asia, and I do these at night. They're 9 p.m. usually when I'm in California. Tonight it's midnight here on the East Coast. But we do them at this time because I want to help those of you in Southeast Asia, in Australia and India. I know that there's a lot going on over there. In fact, I just got back from Malaysia myself, where the ecosystem is spinning up fast, and I hope that we can all together work together and make some impact. Speaking of that, let me put up my LinkedIn real quick, and if any of you want to say hello and connect, happy to do that. The Startup Council has its own LinkedIn, of course, and then there's mine. If either of those look interesting, come find them, say hi. Happy to be in touch and tell you more about the Startup Council, because that's a community service that we're building. Okay, so we've got a couple people who RSVP'd backstage, and I'm going to see if we can bring them on, and then we'll get back to the questions in the chat room as well, okay? So let's see, Ken, if you want to turn on your camera, please. I'm going to bring you and who's it, Sam, over here, and let's see what you guys want to talk about. All right, so here is Ken. Hi, Ken.
Hi, Scott. How are you doing?
Here is Sam. Hi, guys. Nice to meet you.
Hey, nice to meet you.
Excellent. So, okay, so you both were the smart guys who got ahead of the game and RSVP'd a little early. So tell me, is this right? I think Ken, let's see, you're from Brisbane?
Yes, I am.
All right, so far I got the right guy then. Okay, so Ken from Brisbane, and you have an international education AI sort of business that you'd like to practice your pitch. Does that sound right?
Sure. Yeah.
Wow, look, I nailed it. I'm psychic. Okay, now that's the beauty of email. Okay, and Sam, you are from, we got two Aussies here. You're from Brisbane, right? And you wanted to pitch T-App, the T-App, something like that? You're muted, Sam. Can you unmute? No, I can see your lips moving, but okay. Well, I guess that means we'll start with Ken. Okay, Ken.
Okay.
So I'll come back to you, Sam. If you want to wrestle with it or reboot or something, we can still get you on. Okay. So it looks like me and Ken for the moment. So okay, Ken. So you want to practice your pitch?
Sure.
Okay. So here's how we usually do this. I don't know if you've been on the show before, but for anybody else who wants to pitch, we can do it as well. And Sam, this is for you too. What we're doing, this is pretty casual, right? We're not writing any checks tonight, but we'll do it like a 1 to 2 minute pitch. I'll do it. I'll make a timer, and it's just verbal, no slides, and you just say whatever you like, right? And then at the end, I'll try to give you what feedback I have to help you improve. What's more important and more valuable, though, is the rest of you who are here watching can help Ken as well. So we'd like this to be a group exercise, because I certainly don't have all the answers, and I'd like to have you guys in the audience listen and offer what suggestions you can. So we probably don't have time to debate the business itself, but we can all say you talk too fast, or you need a better microphone, or you left this out, or I would have liked to hear more about that because I didn't understand this part, that kind of stuff. That's the sort of critique. And if we can all do that to help Ken, that would be awesome. And then Sam, we can bring you on and do the same thing, okay? So let me grab my timer, and Ken, does that sound reasonable to you?
Sure.
Okay, great. All right, we're getting along great here. All right, so let me put 2 minutes on my clock, and you'll hear it ping. And this is an artificial amount of time. You won't be able to say anything. You know, most pitches are longer or shorter, you never know, but this is just more practice, okay? Okay, so I'm starting the clock. Go ahead and tell us about your AI app.
Okay. Thanks, Scott, giving me the opportunity. I'm Ken. 18 years ago, I worked for NVIDIA, and Jensen Huang was my boss. However, one of my biggest regrets for life is when I left NVIDIA, I sold all my shares and options, and they are now worth 100 million. Fast forward, I have lived in 6 countries. I study, work, and live in 6 countries. But one of the pain points, like millions of people moving across the border, is that the process of applying for visa or university award has been costly, lengthy, and complex. So what we are building is a migration and education on demand, just to address that issue and help people go through that painful process. So this is not just agentic AI. It is a to acting like a human agent, a human lawyer, helping users to go through a visa process or applying for school or university award. This is also a marketplace to monetize all the services after they move into a new country. Like the first thing after they land in a new country is they need to look for accommodation. They might need to find a job. If they have kids, they need to look for schooling for the kids, etc. So this platform is going to monetize all these services after landing in a new country, from pre-moving to post-moving. We use AI to recommend options for the users and help them to go through the entire process. But as and when they need a human support, they can always have the option to contact any migration lawyer or schools online, and we could also help them with the offline application as well.
Okay, could you hear that timer?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, that was very fluent and nicely done. And so that was about 2 minutes. So I know you had a lot more to say. It's kind of an artificial time, like I said, but it gives you the flavor, right? It gives you the feeling of make you nervous enough to pitch and then we can give you some feedback. So, okay. So everybody who's listening who heard that, I know there's dozens of you out there. Go ahead and chime in the chat room. What did you think he said that was smart, or what did you think was left out, or what could have been said differently? Usually the most important thing is what was left out. And again, it's 2 minutes. So we're not picking on Ken or anybody else that pitches. This is artificial, but what are the key points? And usually people spend a lot of time warming up and they just really get going at the 2 minute mark. And that's a little bit what happened to Ken. So I'll start, but everybody else, I see Miguel has a question or a suggestion, but let me go first. So I thought it was very good, and I'm first of all sorry about your NVIDIA shares. that sucks. If it helps at all, I was in Silicon Valley and easily could have joined Yahoo, Google, Facebook, any of those companies at the time, but I went and started my own company, which failed. So I might be in the same boat as you, and you move on, right? Anyway, okay. So congratulations on your new venture. It sounds exciting. Okay. I guess I'm a little. So here's my questions, right? So you gave me in a lot of ways the strategy here, of course, is to get an investor interested to ask more questions. So you don't want to say everything because then they'll decide yes or no, and you wouldn't even have fully explained the story. So there were some things left out here, but here's some of the things that I think were left out. On the positive side, you're clearly spoken, well-spoken, confident, all that, it came across well. What I was missing was I want to know more, and this is a good thing, I guess. I want to know more about the AI. Everybody says they have AI these days, and you mentioned the word agentic, and you can't answer all this now. This is more for next time, okay? Because we've got a lot of other people here too, but just for your notes for next time. What kind of AI are you? What LLMs are you using? Is this proprietary data? and it depends a lot on who you're talking to, but I know enough about AI that I would want to know a lot more about that, because everybody says AI. And if you are for real about this, you could at least drop 6 or 8 more buzzwords and, confirm to us that you really know what you're talking about here. The larger question I had was, which markets are you talking about? Because at least here in the States, if you're pitching U.S. investors, we don't really have this problem, right? So if you're going to pitch somebody like me, and I'm doing this during, Australian, Asian business hours, so you don't have to presume you're talking to Americans, but most Americans, we're not going to understand that problem as much because we don't have the visas and a lot of the schools are here, right? So you probably have to unpack that a bit more because I believe you, I've spent a lot of time outside the U.S., but a lot more than most Americans, right? So I understand it, but at some level, but that needs more detail also, because the need you see is not going to be obvious to Americans the way you've lived it, right? So that you probably need, and here's my big point, the whole thing needs numbers. I didn't hear any real numbers. How many million students, how many $1 million, and what we really need is some equations, some unit economics, like who's the customer. Like I kind of understand it's a marketplace, but who's paying, right? Where's the money coming from? You didn't talk about money at all. And that's what we really need to see. So everything you said was cool. in the next 5 minutes, you probably would have covered all the things I'm saying, but I would kind of put the numbers up front a lot quicker. There's 12.6 million students in Australia alone, and 47% of them want to go study in the States. And that means a market of this size, we're going to charge who? We're going to charge the students. No, we're going to charge the universities. No, we're going to charge the lawyers. I don't know. Like, I need to know how the money flows so that I can see it as a business. Otherwise, it's just an idea. And I'm sure I'm sure you know all that. So those would be my comments, except for one more. With marketplaces, I have a lot of experience with marketplaces. So I would love personally to hear more about both sides, because a marketplace only works obviously if you have buyers and sellers. And I don't know enough about your market, but I've seen many marketplaces fail because they have a lot of supply and no demand, right? Or vice versa, right? And how you're going to go to market to attract people on both sides of that equation, and yet still have one of them pay you money that is more than you have to spend acquiring all those customers, is a challenge. And as a marketplace operator myself, I've lived that, and that would be something I would just caution you for. So that was a big download. Was that helpful or useful?
Yeah, it's really good. Yeah.
Okay, good. I hope so. I'm just trying to help. Let's see if anybody said anything in the chat room here. Let's see. I saw there was somebody a minute ago. Let's see. Miguel said, for our picture, what is your MVP? What is your wedge and your edge? Okay, those are fairly self-explanatory, but yeah, that's right. We don't have you didn't give us a sense of how far along are you? Is this just an idea, or is there a product in the market? And if there is, how is that differentiated? Because there are a lot of different educational services, obviously you're in that market, and what's your edge and what's your wedge? I think those are good questions. Okay. I guess that was it. Okay. So next time, audience, we got to give a little more feedback here. This guy went out. He's a brave guy to be first, and did a good job. So thank you. Nice to meet you, Ken.
Thank you.
I hope that, and if it was or it wasn't, you can watch on YouTube, and you can leave a nasty comment if you want, or you can watch it again if it was helpful and absorb the rest. Nice to meet
Thank you so much.
All right. So that's one. That was Ken from our first Australian caller from Brisbane. Two guys from Brisbane tonight. All right. So the other one was, let's see, Ho-Jun, and then we're going to bring on, hi there, Ho-Jun and Sam. No. Oh, man, I can see your lips moving, but I don't know what's wrong. Sorry about that, man. You could put your question in the chat room. Oh, you had a pitch, though. That's hard to do in a pitch in the chat. I heard something.
I think something's echoing.
You can come back and try again if you'd like. All right. Well, Ho-Jun, I guess, what would you like to talk about tonight? Where are you from?
I'm calling from California. How are you doing?
Oh, good. Okay. All right. You wrote in as well. Good. Roland Heights. That's LA area, roughly, right?
Yeah, a little bit inland.
Yeah. Okay. Excellent. What would you like to talk about? Go ahead.
Great. So I've been pursuing entrepreneurship fresh out of college. I feel like I have really limited amount of resources in terms of network, and I think that's also my fault. I graduated around COVID. I've studied a lot of books. I've pursued businesses on my own, right, with some professors. And as I grew older, I feel like I'm starting to understand that I don't think I bet on the right people, right? I think I lacked the mentorship. I think having very limited budget, having to develop a mobile application from overseas, the developers were highly unreliable, very much over-promising, under-delivering. And so, now with the help of my parents, I've been able to put down some significant funding for this new effort for development for this application that I am pursuing. But, and I think out of the 6-7 years that I've had experience in this space, I've had a lot of good insights and hardships that I've learned. But I really wanted to understand where I can really immerse myself, I guess, besides Silicon Valley, here in Southern California where I could really meet with other investors, mentors, startup founders, just to get really good understanding of how to start myself up in a healthy way, or maybe even connect with other co-founders potentially. Right?
Great. Well, that's a great question, and good for you for being so thoughtful about it. Where did you go to college?
I went to Cal Poly Pomona.
Okay, that's why I'm asking, because that's your university is usually a good location. Do they have an incubator or an entrepreneurship program or anything like that there?
We did, and I actually ended up pursuing it with someone who is a faculty member, right?
Oh,
I have a lot of respect for him, and so I don't want to put him in any bad light. But he or she is the person that I feel like I really bet on, but was felt really, how should I say? I feel like I bet on the wrong person, essentially.
yeah. Okay. Fair enough. We don't need to dig into that. I can tell that's sensitive and understandably. Okay, so that's too bad because I kind of soured you on the university situation, probably, right?
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Well, okay. So then, here's a couple thoughts. I guess I got three, and we'll see how much farther we go. And actually, this is a great opportunity. Anybody that's listening, I know some people out there like Cynthia or others who are from Southern California might have resource suggestions for Hojun. Hojun, is that how you say it? Hojun?
Yeah, that's correct.
For Hojun as well. Put those in the chat room would be great. So here's a few. One is, as you may know, you might get our emails already, but in Southern California, I run a group called the OC Startup Council, Orange County Startup Council, ocstartupcouncil.org, and we publish the only newsletter that I'm aware of that focuses exclusively on Southern California and specifically Orange County, but you're close enough, resources for early stage founders. So I would subscribe to that. It's free. And I would start going to all the events that we list, because we list everybody's events as kind of a community service, right? We collect all the events into one calendar. So that's a great resource. And I started that specifically to help people like you, right, who are kind of new but want to get going. And you don't have to sign up for 15 different emails this way, or even find 15 different services, right? We try to aggregate everything. So that's one. Second is the SBDC, Small Business Development Corporation, SBDC. Is a government-funded, your and my tax dollars at work, and the SBDCs are nationwide. This is true all across the United States, and they offer free consulting for early stage businesses. So this would be more if you already had an idea and you were going to kind of look for some mentoring. Not all of the mentors are 100% fluent in tech. As I'm presuming, are you a techie guy, or what kind of entrepreneurship are you looking?
Yeah, it's AI in the mental wellness space.
Okay, yeah, right. Okay, so I'm not sure they would all be totally up for that, but it's worth a shot and it's free, right?
Yeah.
Normally, there's one called SCORE, Service Corps of Retired Executives, SCORE, and those are just what it sounds like, retired executives who want to help. And again, they may not be up on the latest AI, but they may be able to help you with business structure or co-founders or management, kind of more general topics. And all of that is free. So those are good resources. My friend Cynthia chimed in, which is a great one. Chapman University is open to the public. Their incubator there is run by Cynthia West, Dr. Cynthia West at Chapman, which is in Orange, and again, not too far from you. And they have the only, I don't know every incubator everywhere, but they are one of the few, if not the only one in the area, that is open to non-students. So a lot of the services at universities, of course, are dedicated to their own students, or at least alumni or donor, people that are connected to the university. But Chapman's is open to the public. So, and they have a bunch of events there. We try to list as many as we can, but they have more than we even publish. So that would be a good one. Yeah, well, that's a pretty good start anyway. That's 3 or 4 or 5. John in the chat room says, get in touch with university alumni networks. Yeah, that's where I started too, John. And YC co-founder communities. Yeah, Y Combinator does have co-founder communities. I'm sure there's groups on Reddit as well. The Y Combinator co-founder program doesn't work as well as it used to. Unfortunately, I've been on that list for years, and I keep getting this same one lonely guy from LA who's trying to find a co-founder. He's the only one ever in the newsletter. So I'm not sure that works as well as it used to, but they have a lot of resources. I would also look at Techstars. Techstars is another well-regarded incubator, accelerator sort of program. There's just a lot of them out there. Well, what's the university geographically closest to you? I'm not clear where Roland.
Right. So I think Cal Poly Pomona is very close. Chapman, I think, actually is very close as well. It should be within
Okay.
about 20 minutes. And so,
Okay, well, great. Well, that's a good option then. Okay.
yeah. And thank you, Cynthia and John. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah, I hope that's helpful. And I would love to meet you. We have a lot of events in Orange County. Like I said, I'm in Michigan right now, but I'll be back. And there's going to be an event on November. Well, read our newsletters. I'll be hosting a conference in Garden Grove. I think it's November 3rd or something like that. But anyway, I'd be happy to meet you in person. We're doing pitch competitions and stuff like that in Garden Grove, which we do this will be the 5th one. We call the series Startup Game Changer. So that'll be coming up soon. And we do Irvine Tech Week. There's a lot of stuff we do in Orange County. Actually, another one. Get me going. You hit my sweet spot. LA Tech Week is coming up in like 3 weeks. I think it's roughly around October 10th, and which means all of Los Angeles there's going to be like 100 events over a week or two, like more events. You can't even possibly go to them all, right? But that's one. I would go look at LA Tech Week. Just Google it. It's not latechweek.com. I always do that. Some other URL, but you can find it. And just get on their mailing list, and there's all kinds of stuff going on. And that way you could narrow in a little bit on AI, for example, or mental health and wellness, your sectors, because the more specific, the better, of course. So, okay. Well, I hope that was helpful.
Yeah, it certainly was. Thank you so much. And
Awesome.
I'll connect you on LinkedIn, and I'll definitely keep a look at your newsletter.
Excellent. So, nice to meet you, Hoda.
Yep.
See you next time. Okay, cool. All right, we've got a couple more. Let's see, what do we got? Let's just see what's going on backstage here for a second, or in the chat room. I've been talking a lot. What time is it? Oh, we're like halfway through already. Okay, well, that's good, I guess. I said I would answer some questions from the chat room as well. Let's see. Destin says, what are your experiences with capital for podcasters? I've been podcasting since about 2008. So I guess I'm as qualified as anybody. Well, I'm not Joe Rogan, but or some huge podcaster, but I've been doing it a long time. And I did radio before that. So I've been broadcasting since I was in high school. But I don't have a lot of experience with capital because I guess it's not really seen as a capital opportunity. And the reason for that, I think, is that it doesn't require much capital. You and a microphone, and these days with free internet distribution, I'm not sure what capital you would need. So you can clarify that question a little if you'd like, Dustin. But it's not generally a venture capital backed sector as far as I know. There might be situations where you already are a celebrity of some sort, and then, like if, I don't know, Barack Obama wanted to do a podcast, I'm sure the money would show up, right? But that's not quite the same thing as me or you. Well, maybe you're famous. I don't know. But I don't have a good answer for you there, because it's generally the sort of thing you can fund yourself. And if you get bigger, then hopefully the sponsors show up and start paying for stuff for you. Okay, let's try this one. Piyush says, how to find the right VC to invest with. Do you mean with, Piyush? You mean like you're a limited partner and you want to put money into a venture capital fund? I'm guessing you meant more like the right VC to invest in your company. That's usually what this show is about. I can talk about either one because I am an LP in several funds, but I'm going to take this as how to find the right investor to fund your company. That's usually. Okay, Destin says that actually answers my question. Okay, you were in radio too. Okay, yeah, good old days. Okay, but back to Piyush. How to find the right VC. Finding the right venture capital firm is a long process, and I'm actually writing a new book about this. My next book, like I said, I've written 3 already, but my new book is, I have a Chiron about that even here. It's going to be how to raise startup financing, right? And if you go to startupcouncil.org, you can get on the list for early releases and stuff like that. I'll be sharing with subscribers even before the book comes out. But the answer to your question, I'm writing a whole book about. And a large part of the answer is that we need, okay, did I lose you guys? No, it just was a hiccup there. think you're still here, hopefully. A large part of the answer to finding the right investors is research. And that's not what people like to hear. They want this to be easy. But the fact is, a couple things. Investors are super important, of course, because of the capital, but they also, it's like a marriage. You expect to be online. Sorry, not online. I'm getting distracted by the online. You're going to be in business with your investors for 5, 10, 15 years. It lasts longer than most marriages. So finding the right investors is important for your personal mental health in addition to the capital formation of your company. On top of that, there are thousands of investors now, maybe millions. I mean, many, many more than there were when I raised my first venture round back in Web 1.0. There are so many investors or people that claim to be investors that you have to do a lot more research because a lot of them are fake or don't really have any money. And they're really consultants or something else. Or there are people that specialize in so many things that you want to find those that really get what you're doing. Otherwise, you're in the wrong room. You're just wasting your time. So I would really recommend whatever amount you are going to spend on research, I would triple that. And instead, I would spend it on, I would spend less time on pitching and more on research. If it helps, this is the most common question we get. So we built a website for it. Startupinvestorsdirectory.com is exactly what it sounds like. It's 3,000 early stage investors that you can, it's a search engine basically, right? And you can go and sign up there and search and find people in many, many sectors. I think we have 49 different categories that you can search on, plus the stage like pre-seed, seed, Series A, and the sectors. So, biotech or aerospace or software. Those are, and then there's these dozens of other categories that there's no other site on the internet. Come on back, connection. I hope you guys are there. I'm in a hotel, so anyway, what I was saying is that at startupinvestorsdirectory.com, we have search tools that I don't think any other investor database has, and so you can search on every sector, sustainability, green tech, health tech, whatever, but also you can search on finding investors who are interested in female founders or Black founders or immigrant founders or rural founders or LGBTQ founders or first-time founders or veteran founders, like all these personal characteristics, so that you can drill down and find a match because you are, I don't know, an LGBTQ female veteran who's doing clean tech, right? Wouldn't it be great to find somebody like you? That's the idea. More research will get you into the right room with somebody who's more likely to understand who you are and what you're doing. And that will get you to funding a lot faster. So you hit one of my hot buttons there, Piyush. So I hope that was helpful, but that's the trick to this. You can't just buy a list of 1,000 VC email addresses and send it out and think that money's going to show up. That's just not how it works. Research is what you want to do. Can I please repeat the website for investors? It's on the screen right there, Rita, startupinvestorsdirectory.com. And hopefully that can be helpful to you, startupinvestorsdirectory.com. A discount on that right now. It's not free. I spent a lot of money building it, so all right. I hope we're still here. Okay, let's see. Right, VC. We did that one. Okay, let's try this. Come on now. There we go. Okay, so Rishabh says, hi, Scott. We're a team of process of building an MVP for a chip design software. Okay, deep tech. I'm in the dilemma to go bootstrap for now, or should I be looking for seed fund? Well, it's, the situation, there's no one size fits all answer there, Rishabh, and congratulations to you and your team. Chip design is a hot area. but it also is a long-term play, right? It's a long-term play in the sense of the capital needs. You're going to tens of millions, maybe hundreds of millions, or license out your tech or something, right, to get the capital to keep going. It's not like building an app on your iPhone app that you can have up in 2 weeks or something. So if I'm looking to give you an answer, which of course I am, I guess it's always a good idea to bootstrap as far as you can. If you can bootstrap, the longer you can bootstrap, the better deal you'll get when you do raise money. So the valuation will be better, you'll retain more control, you'll be diluted less, and eventually if you have a successful exit, you'll make a lot more money. But you need the capital along the way to keep things right. So there's no right answer, but I would bootstrap as long as you can, but start building the relationships now. Like I said at the top of the show to Rita, the sooner you meet investors, the sooner they can be relationships where you trust each other and they would be interested in investing. And ideally, what happens with this process, and I say ideally, it's not this easy, but the theory is you go out and you meet a bunch of investors while you're building. And then as you keep building, you are sharing with them your progress. Over time, they get to know you better. They see your progress. They start to trust you. And eventually, ideally, they even say to you, hey, Rishav, why don't you take some of our money? I think you could go faster, right? And then they're pitching you. And that's, again, it's hard to make that happen. I certainly can't promise that. But that is what you want to aim for. So the sooner the better. I don't think you want to necessarily raise money right now because bootstrapping is a better deal for you. But I think you do want to start the fundraising process in terms of now. All right. What is, let's see. Oh, here's a couple more comments. Ken, there's a couple more comments in the chat that I missed because we were talking. Yeah, like Cynthia wasn't clear on your value proposition. And there's a difference between an AI company and a company that is AI enabled. This is back, we're talking about for Ken's pitch here. So there's some good stuff in the chat room there. Ken, when you watch, I would check it on YouTube and rewind that bit. And I think you'll see some good notes there. Okay. It says, it's great to meet you as an investor. As an investor, what green, yellow, and red flags do you look for in startups and in the team itself? If yellow, what do you advise to mediate early? Okay. It won't show up on the screen. Okay. Well, I'll read it again. John wants to know, as an investor myself, what are the green, yellow, and red flags I look for in startups and in the team? Well, it's a combination of things, John. The green is fairly, well, I was going to say it's obvious, but it's not simple. Obvious is, wow, ideally, great founder or teams in a big market with some great traction and growth momentum, compounding every month with recurring revenues, and ideally even adjacent markets that they can expand to, and a low cost of customer acquisition. I mean, the list goes on and on, right? Businesses are complicated. So let's talk more about the yellow and red flags. I guess a yellow flag that we see a lot is people that won't listen. And it's not so much that as angel investors that we are lecturing, it's this that we want to know that you're smart enough to adapt to new circumstances. If you think you have all the answers already, I think you're going to be sorely mistaken as an entrepreneur. One of my favorite quotes, I used this in a presentation I did last week in Malaysia, and I got a big laugh, is a famous quote from Mike Tyson, the heavyweight boxer. He says, everybody's got a plan until I punch him in the mouth. That's Mike said that. And I think it's true. So if you're a founder or a team that has all the answers and won't listen to people with experience in that domain, that's a red flag. And you won't be getting money from my friends, me or my friends, because we want people that are adaptable. Other yellow flags would be that you've raised a lot of money and haven't made much progress, or even so many different people to money that you might have already raised such high valuation is not affordable for others. That's less anyway. So if you think about confident inflated valuation. So don't raise too much money too early, and especially at too high a valuation. You'll dilute yourself. You'll find it harder to raise from other people. Like Ivywood Records says, you've been warned, bootstrap or lose your soul. I think that sums it up. You need to be careful about that. Be judicious about the money you're raising and the price at which you're selling the equity. Yeah, that's yeah, sorry, John. That hopefully it'll be in the replay. Lots of money, but little progress. Yeah. Okay. So I'm gonna have to keep moving here, though. I think it will be in the replay on YouTube. You could go check that out. And let's see here. What else we got here? Where can we find? What does this one say? The Historian. Where can we find investors for a young entrepreneur like me without an MVP? Well, Historian, I think that's a common question. Unfortunately, I don't think you're going to like my answer. Well, I have two answers. For listings of investors, there's places like PitchBook, for example, and $15 a year subscription, which is bull, right? Founders. That's why we built StartupInvestorsDirectory.com. I'm not here trying to pitch that service, but that's literally why I built it, because so many founders can't afford the other services. So I would go and look at StartupInvestorsDirectory.com, poke around. But the real answer is, I don't think you're going to find one. I think by using the research tools that I talked about earlier at StartupInvestorsDirectory.com, you can get closer, because you could find people in your sector at your stage with similar characteristics and interests that can get you way down the track faster to find investors. But if you're a young entrepreneur who has no MVP, it sounds like all you have is an idea. And these days, people don't invest on ideas. I mean, I don't. Anything's possible, right? If you have no track record, and I'm just exaggerating for effect here, but you're a young entrepreneur, so I think you haven't built previous companies, it sounds like. You may not have a track record, and you don't have an MVP. All you have is an idea. I don't think anybody's going to invest in it. You can do all the research you want. I take that back. Your mom, friends or family might invest, and that's a legitimate way to start. Your credit cards, that's also a legitimate way to start. If you are so confident you can pull those resources and get going, that is allowed, right? You're an adult. You are the CEO. You can do what you want. But in terms of real investors, like professional investors, most investors these days are looking for some sort of traction, which means customer validation, ideally in the form of sales. If you don't even have a minimum viable product yet, then you are far from having the kind of traction and validation that investors want. So I think, you're probably not going to find an investor. I'm sorry to say that, because I'm here to be encouraging, but I'm also here to help you use your time and resources wisely. I would suggest to you, and also to Hojun earlier, I don't know if you're still watching, Hojun, but the other thing to do when you're in your situation, Hojun, or here, the historian situation, is go work in a startup, right? You can get paid, it's like a scholarship, right? Go work in somebody else's startup. Even if it's only for 6 months or a year, you will learn so much about everything, really, right? You don't have to be the boss right from the start. The media romanticizes early 20-something and college dropout founders, but studies show that most successful entrepreneurs are in their 30s and 40s, right? Because they have some experience. They're reacting to industry needs that they've seen in their real life, right? Not just kind of dreaming stuff up from their college dorm room. I mean, it does happen, obviously, but there's no shame in going and working for somebody else for a while and learning what you're doing, because most startups fail anyway. Even if you were really right and really got funded, 9 out of 10 times you're going to fail anyway. So why not go work for somebody else for a while, learn the ropes, figure out, a lot of things on their dime, and then hopefully build something, a little later on your own time. All right. Okay, Sam, are you still here? Can you turn on your camera? I don't see you. Who do we got back here? Hojun is still here. Okay, Sam, all right. We're going to try. This is the third try. Sam, let's see if we can.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, there we go.
Hello.
Nice to meet you.
Perfect. Great. Made it in the end.
Yes. All right. So you wanted to pitch,
alrighty.
right?
So, yep.
Okay. Why don't you go ahead and we'll all do our best. And let me remind everybody watching, when Sam he's here. He's tried really hard to be here. So when he's here and pitching, please think and listen and give him some feedback in the chat room. Okay. Excellent. Okay, go ahead, Sam.
Thanks. Yeah, thanks, Scott, for giving the opportunity. Alrighty. So, what I'll be pitching is the T app. 72% of Australian women on dating apps face harassment or violence. So the T app solves this in America. 4.6 million women downloaded the app. It's number 2 on the App Store when it was at peak trending. Now it's, I think, number 7 on the App Store. And at the moment, Australia has 0 competition in this space right now. And so we're bringing dating safety to Australian women. So the problem that exists right now is 3 out of 4 women experience dating app violence. And current apps like Tinder, Bumble don't prioritize this safety. So women want background checks, community warning, and verification. And what I'm bringing here as a solution, which is a proven to work model from the United States, anonymous community of verified women on the app, and where women can post warnings and experiences that they've had dating men and share that with their fellow other women. So the app is built, ready to be launched. At the moment, it's under review by the App Store, so I'm going back and forth with them. So hopefully it'll be released publicly in the next week or so. The market opportunity. So the Australian dating market is worth 58 million, and 3.4 million Australians are using dating apps, and no local safety focused app. And the go-to-market strategy is TikTok and Instagram influencer strategy. So we're targeting small to medium Australian creators, and then we'll have a model that's pay up front and then commission based on amount of downloads we get from their videos. So there's a lot of viral potential in because safety messages resonates a lot on social media. And in terms of my credentials, so I've built 2 successful apps already, Chat Rewind and CharmUp. So one of them is profitable, Chat Rewind. You can look it up on the App Store. It's doing about 20K annual recurring revenue at the moment. I'm 22 years old. I also have an AI software company. So what I'm asking is I'm seeking about 10 to 20K funding for marketing, and I'm offering equity or profit share in exchange of that. And 100% of all that money will go towards the influencer campaigns. I project around
That's
10,000
probably time.
downloads in the next 3 months.
Okay. That's
Yeah.
you're
All right.
well over 2
Thank you.
minutes there, Sam. Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
sorry about
Well,
that.
no worries. It's not easy. No worries. All
Yeah.
right. So everybody who is listening to that, yeah, we're having trouble hearing you. So even with the mic fixed, you probably need to invest in a real microphone or something more than those AirPods that you're using. Because the studies show that actually people think you're 19% smarter if they can hear you better. I swear to God, that's a fact. So I would buy a real microphone. And I'm here. I am not using a real microphone myself, but I'm traveling. I have a real microphone at home. Okay, so everybody else, let us know what you thought of Sam's pitch. I would say it sounded like you were reading, so I would memorize that stuff so you can just sound more natural, right? But that's practice. You can obviously do that. The thing I found most interesting, you buried, which is you've done this twice already. So you should put that up front, man. That's because the major question, of course, is if you're bringing something from America that works, why isn't everybody else going to do the same thing, right? So your competition question, you say there's no competition, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe that's true, maybe it's not. But if you've actually done it a couple times, that's a big deal, and it gives credibility to your claim that there's no competition, also, right? So I would promote that sooner in your talk, because credibility is key here. You also used more numbers than some of our other folks tonight, so that's good. Numbers are great. What I didn't hear wasn't much about the money, right? Again, it was a lot about the problem, but I think everybody gets that. You don't need to spend all that time explaining that women are not having a great time on dating apps. I mean, anybody. I'm not even on a dating app, and I know that, right? It's like, although I think you said 72% of experienced violence or something like that. That was attention getting. So maybe that's a good one to keep. But anyway, you could slim that down a lot and focus instead on how you're making money, because investors, that's what we want to know, right? So I would dig in a little more to the competition first of all, but then also if influencer strategy is what you're going to do, your go-to-market is based on that, then we want to hear numbers about, I don't know if you know these phrases, but CAC and LTV, and like CAC is a customer acquisition cost, and then LTV, lifetime value of a customer. So if you want to do an equation for me, something like we're going to spend $1.10 on average to acquire new customers, and then a typical customer will then be worth $4.16 over 3 years or something like that, right? So that you can see this much $1 goes in and $28 comes out. That's what investors want to hear, that kind of thing. So if you can present an equation, you'll get a lot farther faster. The biggest question I have for you, I guess, and then we'll look at the chat room, is you only need $10,000 or $20,000. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah. So like at the moment, I think, well, it costs about maybe probably a K to pay influencer upfront, and then from there it's sort of like commission based, and then we pay them based on like views and downloads that we get from the app based on the video. So that will get me started with about 6 to 8 influencers.
So
And I
yes,
think
the answer is
that
yes.
will be enough, you know. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So that's an odd situation from an investor's point of view, because the funny thing about investors is that we have money. So we forget that other people don't have money. I don't, because I grew up without much money, so I understand. But most investors will not have a meeting with you for $20,000. That's not enough for an investor to care about. In most cases, investors will expect you to put that on your own credit cards or something, or just handle it, right? Investors, if you're not starting at least $100,000, that's not an investment. That's like a favor, right? So if you want to talk to venture capital or angel investors, I would raise I would raise the amount of money you want to raise. But then, yeah, of course, you have to have a better model as to what you're going to do with it, right? And if it's not that, then well, then you just got to talk to your friends and family. Maybe you don't have friends and family like that, but that's what they're going to expect. Rich people have rich families, so they think everybody else has a rich family. And I don't know you. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But 10 or 20K is not the kind of money that is talked about by investors. That's like a business trip, you know. So I'm not sure in Brisbane who else is around, but I know, you know, like on the Gold Coast and stuff, there's quite a startup scene. I would think that there's people there. I can't think of anybody offhand, but I would get out in the startup event scene or on the pitch circuit and just try to make some friends and see, you know, just more casually, because a venture capital firm isn't going to take the call if that's all you're raising. So, all right. So let's see what the audience says. John says, get to the point sooner. Yeah, well, that's kind of what I said. He said he got to the point faster than I did. That's right. Let's see. As far the hook can improve, says Francisco. Yeah, I think I think that's right. You've got something really interesting here. You need to come up with like an anchor phrase, you know, like whatever, you know, the Uber for dogs, or, you know, like something like, what is this T app? Like, you obviously know what it is, but like.
Oh yeah, I did have one, which is Yelp for dating.
Yelp for dating. Okay, yeah, that's something like that, right? I mean, I get it now, right? Immediately, right? So I would hit that a little harder. And if you can make it even sexier, like, you know, go ahead and spin it up a little more, so that it's memorable. That's good. And then Eric says, good to see. Hey, Eric, nice to see you. It's been a while. And what's this last one? Okay. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's some to chew on anyway. I hope that's helpful. It sounds like an interesting opportunity, though. And if you've done this before,
thank you so much.
Yeah. Stick with it, man. All right. Well, nice to meet you.
Yeah. Thanks, Scott. That was very helpful. Nice to meet you too.
Good. All right. Well, hope to see you again. That was our friend Sam. It's early in the day there in Australia. Good day to all my Australian friends. Okay. So I think we're about out of time here. So let's just run through the chat room again and see if there's any more cleanup we can do here. Okay. Let's see. Wealthy Scientist says, as far as validation goes, I have a lot of demo signups. Can that be used as validation and being accepted in the contest? Yes. Great. I love this, Wealthy Scientist. Exactly right. My new book is going to I'm introducing a new concept. I think it sounds like people know what MVP is, minimum viable product. I think that came from Eric Ries's Lean Startup book. It has been a tremendously helpful idea to get people to think about launching the least thing just to get it going and see what you can make of it, right? Totally valuable. These days, even before that, though, is another threshold that investors want to see. And I'm introducing in my new book a new concept called MVT, traction, minimum viable traction. Because investors these days, it's not enough to have an idea, and it may not even be enough to have a product in market, like an MVP. What you need to show is customer validation. So minimum viable traction is what I'm suggesting. We call the idea that you do just what you're saying there, Wealthy Scientist. You have a lot of demo signups, and you've been accepted into contests. What that is not the dream, you know, the ideal traction, because ideal traction is like, you know, $1 million recurring revenue, monthly growing, double, you know, blah, 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 you know, all kinds of money raining down. But that's rare, right? The reality is, you've got to start to walk before you run. And walking with minimum viable traction is any demonstration that someone other than you or your mom cares, right? Far too many entrepreneurs get wrapped up in their own thing, and they're so thrilled that they're solving this problem, and they never talk to any customers. And, you know, and that's one of the reasons, by the way, that investors, that we like people to have co-founders, because it shows that you, or a team at least, because it shows that you convince some other people, right? We want to know that somebody other than you gives a damn. So minimum viable traction, I think Wealthy Scientist is giving some great examples. Demo signups. So she or he has had people sign up. They want demos, and they've been accepted into pitch competitions. I'm guessing that's what she means by contests, right? That means other people think this might have some potential. And that's what minimum viable traction is to me. Right. That's real minimum viable traction. Yes. Okay, cool. Good. Well, I like that. That was a good example. Thank you. And then do startups from India have? Yes, of course, Shalini. Absolutely. That's why I do this. It's midnight. It's 1 a.m. for me. I do this precisely because I'm happy to hear from you folks from India. Unfortunately, you're a little late. And we're going to wrap up for tonight, but I'll do this again next month. And I spend as much time as I can in India these days. Happy to help Indian entrepreneurs. Please go and join our email lists at the Startup Council, or register your company. All of you, what this Startup Council is a directory, and you can list your company there, and it's $20 or $25. We have to charge something, right? Otherwise, people abuse it. But it's basically at cost, and you can get yourself in the directory, and then you can publish articles, you can post your events, you can find co-founders. We built all this into one hub at startupcouncil.org, and we'd love to have more Indian members, Shalini. So come on over there and come back here, get on the mailing list, and join me again next month, and I'd be happy to hear your pitch. Absolutely. Okay, I thought I saw another one. Where was that? Oh, yeah, there it was. Oh, let me do this one first. Well, no, that's fine. Whatever. Okay, these are our last two, okay, guys? Because I have to go to bed. Erdy says, do you have a good example of a founder who takes advice well? Specifically, how did you measure that in a practical sense? That's great, Erdy. I like your vibe there. You're trying to think about quantifying things, and that is a completely legitimate impulse. An example of a founder takes advice. Yeah, I mean, I've seen it so many times. I can't really quote anything to you. It's just what I was saying earlier, though. If people have expertise and are trying to help you, you need to listen to them. And even if you disagree, it's okay. But you want to have reasons for that. And we just see a lot of founders who come in, and I've seen thousands of startup pitches, right? And every now and then you'll get somebody. The pitch may be great, but when I say we, that's usually like a group of us investors, right? When we start asking questions, instead of listening and responding, they get defensive or even angry, right? Like, how could we question them? And that's just not, it's not anything special to startups. Nobody wants to work with a person like that, right? Especially for 5 or 10 or 15 years, and that person's using our money, So, yeah, I don't think that's a good vibe. And to measure that in a practical sense, I can't really measure it because it's so in situation specific. But I guess, the number of founders like that get funded is 0. I mean, that's a measurement for you. 0 funding. So yeah, kind of a squishy answer. But I mean, if you're even asking that question, Erdy, I think you're probably okay, right? Because these are people who tend to have not much self-awareness. They also, I guess there is a confluence with people that are older and consider themselves experts in their field. And especially if they have a lot of education, like a doctor, or an engineer or some brilliant, professor who invented the tech or something. Like, how could they? It's that kind of, I think they call it the halo effect, right? They're really good at this specific thing, which means they feel like they are good at everything. And that's just not the case, right? Being good at engineering or medical devices or physics or something does not mean that you are also a good business person, and no accounting and no marketing and no graphic design and no AI, right? They're just different things. So people that can understand their limits is important. Okay. Shalini. Okay, let me just hit this with Shalini again. I think the answer, Shalini, I already gave you, but I want to support entrepreneurs in India. IIT, great. Kharagpur, I'm actually working with the IIT Alumni Association. The IIT Global Conference is going to be in Southern California, I think in April, in Long Beach or somewhere south of Los Angeles, near where I live. So I'm very much interested in IIT and happy to help. how to build it up with you for our startups. I'm traveling right now, but I would go to startupcouncil.org and use the contact form and send us a message, and I'll try to get back to you and we'll figure something out. Happy to try to support IIT entrepreneurs for sure. I mean, I do it already. So happy to do more of that, and we'd be happy to collaborate on things with you there in India or virtually or both. So, and I would bet we have some mutual friends. Okay. Erdy says, I got my answer. Good. Okay, good. That was a valid answer. Good. I thank you, Erdy. I appreciate that. And then there was one more. Sorry, where is it? No, not that one. There we go. Okay, so this is our last one, and I'm going to bed. Dance Industry with Alex Zell says, I have a working prototype, but I do everything by myself. What do investors usually think about solo founders? Is it harder to get funding without a team? Yes. You want some more detail, though? I'll give you some more detail. It is harder to get funding without a team. I was pretty much a solo founder myself in my first company, and that was a lot of arrogance on my part. And as I built a team, that things got better in some ways, and that company still failed. But I didn't understand for a long time why investors want to see a team, and why it's often a requirement when you apply to an accelerator or an incubator that you have at least 2 or 3 people involved. But I've come to realize that it's a lot about validation and about the minimum viable traction I was talking about a minute ago. If you are all by yourself, even if you are a genius, you are Einstein plus LeBron James plus, I don't know, Elon Musk or whatever your dream team is, and you really can play all those positions, that's still a problem, because it might save money, but it means that there are no differences of opinion or perspective, and that the company is not going to iterate and adapt as fast as it could, because you don't have a kind of mix of perspectives. And then even more importantly, it means that you have not gone to the trouble of convincing other people that you are going to build a real business. Investors don't want to invest in one-man shows, because a one-man business, well, at least until AI came along, was not likely to be able to generate more than, pick a number, $1 million, $10 million a year. And venture capital investing is all about finding outliers like Uber or Facebook or, pick your, or Tesla, right? Some company that's going to go from 0 to a zillion. So if you don't have the ability to recruit people and convince people to join your team so that you have a team, we don't believe you're going to be able to scale a business that is large enough for us to be interested in. That's what it boils down to. So if you can do everything by yourself and you can make a couple $1 million a year by yourself, then I would just do that. You're not going to do much better. If you have full control and you can do it all yourself, and you can maybe hire some lower cost people with all the revenue you're making, don't raise money. You don't need the validation from some venture capitalist to say that your business works when you're making real money on your own and keeping it all. That's the dream, man. Don't confuse yourself, because the media just loves to cover venture capital stories, right? That venture capital is not a goal in and of itself. Raising money is not a goal. That's just a stop along the road to eventually raising more money, and then raising more money, and then raising more money, deluding yourself, working for years, and then hopefully having a huge payday, right? If you can just get paid all along the way, I would do that. So without a demonstration that you can work well with others and recruit other people to your point of view and adapt to their input to improve your products, investors are going to be skeptical. So sorry for the bad news. I've been there myself, but I think that's the truth. So I hope that's helpful to everybody. I hope you all have enjoyed this. I know we had some audio and video difficulties. Sorry about that. The The Wi-Fi here is not as reliable as I had hoped, but at least I think we got through much of this, and hopefully we answered a bunch of questions that were helpful to you. I do this every month as part of startupcouncil.org's free services. We try to help everybody around the world, especially underrepresented and first-time founders. So if that's interesting to you, you can please come and join us at startupcouncil.org and list your company, or at least sign up for the newsletters. We have 7 or 10 or 11 newsletters now, I think, from different parts of the world and different specialties. So depending on what you're into or how we can help, we're there to help. That's what we do. So startupcouncil.org is your friend, and hopefully I am too. If you'd like to come and find me on LinkedIn, please do. Hey, and if this has been useful, will you please click like and leave a comment or subscribe, all that kind of stuff. That's how all this works. You know, it's all algorithmically driven these days. The algorithm rules. So if you could please just click like and subscribe, that would be lovely, and appreciate it, and give us the firepower to keep going and keep doing this to help other people. Even if we never see you again, although I'd like to, I hope you'll tell your friends, and then we'll see you again as well. So thanks for joining me, and I'm going to bed. Thanks. Good night.